We are live on the ICCC podcast stage here with Billy Dee Williams. Sir, thank you so much for joining us today. Uh-oh. He's doing the robot.
Doing the robot.
Hello.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today on the podcast stage. We appreciate it. First off, we both would like to say we love your work, all of it, from the movies to the novel to the art.
Well, I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Go ahead, Aaron.
So, Billy, thank you for joining us today. And I had the opportunity to listen to your book. And thank you for doing the narration, because you've got such a wonderful, distinct voice that it's just, it was 11 hours of wonderment.
I was so bored with myself, but oh, God, that was the most difficult thing in the world to do.
I imagine so, yeah. The length of time that the book takes, yeah, I can imagine it was,
It took a while.
Mm-hmm. Something I wanted to get into from the book, if we could, was something that I didn't know about until I listened to the book, and some of our listeners and viewers may not know, is that when you went to the New York City High School of Performing Arts, you actually went for painting.
I went to Music and Art High School.
Music and Art High School, yes. And you
There
went
was a performing arts.
right.
That's the one they did the movie.
The movie Fame.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you actually went for painting and not for acting. And so was wondering, when you painted, what was your inspiration for your painting then? At that age, you know, who were the artists that you kind of inspired you?
Well, I mean, I spent my whole life going to museums. You know, from the early Renaissance into the modern painting era through Impressionism, Expressionism, Surrealism, people like, Dali is one of my favorite painters. Tamara Dell'Empicka, who was part of the, what do you call a school of painting? Art Deco.
Okay.
A lot of the northern African art that I appreciate. Velázquez, back during the Baroque period. I've been influenced by just the Mexican muralists, you know, Diego Rivera, Orozco, Segueros. I've been, running around looking at all kinds of stuff.
Right. Wonderful, 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 Micah.
Lots of inspiration. When you were writing this book,
And now my granddaughter, she's doing so well.
She's painting too?
14.
Oh, nice.
She's amazing. She's amazing.
When you were writing the book and, going down a memory lane, was there any time when you were writing it that you thought to yourself, man, I can't believe I'm writing my life?
Well, I was writing a coffee table book, telling my life through my paintings. I've been doing it for over 25 years. It's really finished, but I wanted to go ahead with this. This took 2.5 years. I wanted to see how well I would do with this. And, of course, this became a New York Times bestseller.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to doing the coffee table book. But as I said, that's really, and it's kind of an interesting idea, but I'm just sort of talking about my life through, as I said, through my paintings, primarily.
Oh, that's awesome.
Very cool, very cool. Something else from the book, when you talked about, and let me make sure I get this title correct, the Bingo Long Traveling All-Stars and Motor Kings, the movie. In the book, you say it was one of your favorite films to make.
Oh, absolutely.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, it was really an education, working with those baseball players from the 1930s and 40s, the Negro Leagues, was a real incredible historical, educational journey that I really felt that I was very fortunate to be able to, in some ways, be a part of that. You know, we did train for that movie, went into training. But of course, I played a little bit of baseball when I was a kid growing up in New York City. I played for the junior Yankee team, a little team called the Brown Bombers. But my father and I used to go out to Central Park and watch the Cuban baseball players.
Oh, cool.
And which was a huge, that was incredible experiences. And the Negro League players, that was really the most incredible people during a period, you know, when it was very segregated, but these guys were around, and eventually, you know, people got to know who they were.
That's awesome. That's so cool. I actually had a question, not really Star Wars related, but Batman related, for Batman '89. How was it like joining a superhero franchise after doing Star Wars, after Superman did so well? You did so well in that movie. Was it interesting going from Star Wars to superheroes, or was it easy?
Well, John Peters, who was one of the producers, wanted me to play Harvey Dent. And when I did the Star Wars movies, I did a 2-picture deal. But in this situation, I was only asked to play Harvey Dent. I don't know if they were planning to have me go further
For Two-Face?
with Two-Face. But at that time, I think it was Sony bought out the franchise, and they took a different direction. But I was looking forward to it, yeah.
I don't know if you were aware, they actually made a comic of Batman '89 with your character turning into Two-Face. It's really an interesting story.
Yeah, well, you know, what's interesting is that I ended up doing it anyway, but the irony of it through the, what was it?
Oh,
Lego.
yeah, the
yes,
Lego.
The Lego.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I always laugh about.
Right,
I
right.
get a chuckle out of that.
Still got around to doing it after all.
Touche.
Not the way I wanted to do it.
Right.
Right. So I wanted to ask about Brian's song. And when you were filming Brian's song, did you get the feeling, did you know that it was going to have such a cultural impact?
I don't know. No, not really. It was a phenomenon. The interesting thing, they couldn't decide whether to give me an Emmy or give Jimmy an Emmy, so we were both nominated for Emmys, but they ended up giving it to an English actor. And for what was it? The 6 Wives of King Henry the VIII. But I always felt like, you know, it was such an, what's the word, oversight? Is that the right word?
Yeah, oversight.
I just felt like, you know, it created such a huge impact. They should have made that whole situation an exception, because it touched everybody
Yeah.
for a long time. And even today, I mean, if you talk to people, I mean, I ran into one guy who said, you know, whenever he felt he wanted to purge himself, he would lock himself in his library and put Brian's song on, sit there and weep through that whole thing.
Right, right.
But it was an extraordinary, I call it, that experience, an act of love. It was like one of those perfect moments in one's life, you know, where everything was, came together. Jimmy and I had a great chemistry. working with Buzz Kulik, the director, was extraordinary. So it was a perfect experience.
That's awesome.
Wonderful.
We have a few short minutes, so I want to ask one Star Wars question. Being in the original trilogy and then now being in the last three trilogy,
The Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of
yes.
Skywalker, yes.
How did it feel to jump back? I know you did Lando in Rebels. How did it feel to jump back into live action Lando?
No, it was great. You know, it was fun.
Just like putting the old cap back on, and it just felt like
Yeah,
old
I
times?
suppose that, you know, but I'm old now, so.
Still look great.
It was a little bit hard. It was a little difficult, but working with J.J. Abrams was a big treat. He's fantastic.
I love the story you tell in your book about when JJ was going to meet with you. He wanted to come to your house, but you wanted to see the production. You wanted to see the magic behind the scenes, and you asked to go to Bad Robot.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was just a great treat, you know, because I had heard so much about J.J.
Right.
And he's one of those individuals who has a tremendous enthusiasm, and I just wanted to see what his surroundings were all about. And so I saw things that he collected throughout the years.
Right.
Going back to the practical effects was great too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
He was so much fun. It was just a treat to watch him get his head into all of that stuff that was going on.
Right.
Well, as we finish this, where can we find the book? Is it on Amazon? Do you have a website for the book?
Yeah, I guess it's everywhere.
It is.
Amazon.
Great answer. Great answer,
Well, I didn't
Billy.
know if like your website has
Ask
some signed
Derek, he knows.
copies, or I know you can get it on Amazon or Books and Nobles, things like that. I didn't know
Yeah.
if you had a website that had maybe some special edition copies, some signed copies.
Yeah, I guess I have all of that stuff, but I have no idea how to explain.
You have
it to
people for that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
As you should.
As you should.
I have my team.
You're not wrong.
Right.
You're not wrong.
Absolutely.
Billy, thank you so much for coming on today. We appreciate it so much, giving us some of your time. Come on down here to ICCC, get an autograph, get a photo with Billy. And, sir, it's been a pleasure.
Well, I appreciate you asking me
Oh,
to participate.
Thank you, Billy.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Stay well, everybody.